This year, Drake is 30 years old. His hometown is in the West region. He has known the Leaky Channel for about 2 years now. But only today did he have some free time to write a letter to the channel, recounting a story that happened right within his cousin's family. His cousin's name is Teresa. In 2008, she bought a house also in the West region through the introduction of an acquaintance. At that time, house prices were very cheap, seeing a good price. She bought it immediately without thinking much. Then, after buying it, she and her husband moved their things in to live there. The house in the alley was built in an L shape, and next to the house, there was a small garden plot. Her family consisted of 3 people: herself, her husband named Lucas, and their 5-year-old son named Ben. Moving in, nothing happened at first, but the thing was, the house always smelled of a faint, light, foul odor. The couple thought it was probably due to a clogged septic tank or something, which was why it happened. Hearing people advise buying white lime to pour down to clear the drain and deodorize, they followed the advice, but it only worked for a few days before returning. At the time of buying this house, the surrounding neighbors looked at them a lot. They would gather together and whisper to one another, and many times she noticed that anyone passing by the house would look inside, in a manner of walking fast, but trying to turn their heads back to take a look. That time, she asked the aunts and uncles around the neighborhood if there was something wrong with her house. Those people said there was nothing. They just saw someone from another place moving in. So they looked out of curiosity. That was it. But in her heart, she felt very uncomfortable. Our family lives normally. We don't even do business. But now, suddenly, anyone passing by looks in, making her annoyed. She stayed at home doing garment processing and altering clothes at home. But she noticed that when she applied for garment work elsewhere, people accepted her. But near there, no one was willing to work with her. The neighbors also didn't see anyone coming to alter clothes. That day, her mother came up to visit the house to see her children and grandchildren. That night, while the mother was lying with Ben in the living room, suddenly several spools of sewing thread on the sewing machine table fell to the ground and rolled for a distance, then rolled backwards to the foot of the table. If it were one spool, it would seem normal. But this time, all 3 spools suffered the exact same thing, downstairs, behind the house near the restroom. The sound of the water faucet turning on was heard. Ben was sleeping soundly, while the mother was awake. The mother went down to check and saw the water running and overflowing outside. So she turned off the faucet to walk back up. But after just a few steps, she heard the sound of running water again. The mother was startled. She turned her head very quickly to look towards the bathroom, and at that moment, she caught a glimpse of a dark shadow flashing past, thinking it was a thief. She went to turn on the light, but saw no one. But there was a strange thing. The water faucet ran and spilled water all over the bathroom floor, and the water on the floor was like it contained cooking oil or pork fat. It formed plaques and floated all over, finding it too difficult to understand. The mother went to the bedroom of her daughter. Her daughter's name is Tina. Let's call the couple that. The couple went down to look, but didn't see anything, and therefore the bathroom was just wet and nothing else happened. The mother said, "Just now, I clearly saw that it was like there was a layer of fat spreading across the floor. Why is it like this now?" But after a while, everyone went back to sleep because they didn't know what else to do. And when the mother went back to sleep, she dreamed that her soul was lying with Ben, and she heard the sound of sobbing sniffing around the bathroom area. The mother sat up, braved herself, and went down to look. When looking into the bathroom, she saw a human arm reaching up from inside the toilet bowl hole. In the dream, she was so scared that she screamed out, then startled awake. Looking around, she saw Ben was still sleeping, and now it was almost dawn, so the mother got up. Waking up early while the children were still sleeping, she tried to do everything gently, going down to the bathroom to brush her teeth and wash her face. And right at the moment of brushing her teeth, she remembered the dream. Suddenly, the water in the toilet bowl bubbled up. It emitted an extremely foul odor. Terrified, she ran back to her daughter's room to call the couple up to see what was happening. Sleeping soundly and hearing the mother scream with such a panicked voice, the couple also startled and flung the door open to run out. The mother grabbed Tina's hand and pulled her down to the bathroom to look. But once again, the bathroom was as if nothing had happened. Sleeping soundly and being disturbed, the brother-in-law got annoyed. He said that maybe because the mother stayed up late and was tired, her eyes played tricks on her. Since they didn't see anything there, the mother couldn't explain it. She also apologized to the couple. Tina said, "Oh, it's just because he's sleepy that he spoke like that. He didn't mean anything." The mother felt sad and said, "Let me go back home. Staying here bothers the children and grandchildren too much." Despite the couple's pleading, the mother still went back. When Tina drove her mother to the bus station, the surrounding neighbors kept looking and whispering. Becoming angry, she spoke out loud to the air. "Do you people have nothing else to talk about, that you keep looking into people's houses and whispering all the time?" Feeling guilty, they dispersed and went back to their own homes instead of standing there, avoiding an argument. Tina's personality was very fierce. Her face looked like those who offer high-interest loans, so people were afraid of her. From the day the mother returned home, she frequently dreamed about Tina's house. Her soul clearly saw that in the bathroom. There was a woman sitting there, covering her face and weeping bitterly. Sometimes she saw that woman looking normal, and sometimes covered in blood all over her body. There was not a single night that she slept without seeing that woman. She called to tell Tina about it. Tina said, "Oh, Mother, please don't scare me." Because normally my husband goes to work and I stay at home with Ben. I don't see anything strange. The only thing was that once in a while, she did smell a faint foul odor in the bathroom. But after flushing water, it was gone. Seeing the exact same dream many times, the mother felt uncomfortable. She decided to go up to Tina's house for a long-term stay to see how things were. This time going up there, the father went along too, because the mother going alone was also scary. The elderly couple picked fruit from the countryside to bring up to Tina's house, then arranged it to give to each house in the neighborhood as a small gift to get acquainted. After staying for a few days, the mother got acquainted with the house of an old woman in the neighborhood, Aunt Nancy. The mother asked, "Are there many ghosts in this neighborhood?" Then Aunt Nancy spoke honestly. She said, "Whether there are many ghosts or not, I don't know, but I know that nearby here, there is a female ghost who died a long time ago and has not been liberated yet." The mother was curious and asked, "Oh, really? Where is it? Tell me about it." Aunt Nancy looked at the mother's face for a long while. She asked once again if the mother was sure she wanted to hear. Of course, the mother nodded. Aunt Nancy then asked the mother, "Do you know why, ever since your daughter moved here, people around here keep staring? Because the house she bought used to be the place where a horrible murder case happened. Many years ago, the landlord came here to buy land and built that house for his children to live in, but the young people liked life in Saigon and refused to return to this God-forsaken place. The landlord then hung up a house for rent sign at a very cheap price. At that time, the house was very tiny, not spacious like now. Many people came to rent and then returned the house until a young couple came to rent. They looked very young and also worked at a nearby company. Every day after finishing work, they came back there to sleep in the evening. No one saw the two of them talking to anyone in the neighborhood. Sometime later, people saw the husband often repairing the bathroom. A few men in the neighborhood came over and said, "Why don't you report the broken things to the landlord to fix? Why do it yourself? It costs you money." Then the husband said, "Oh, it doesn't cost much. I'll just do it myself instead of waiting for people to come. It's a hassle." Hey, that day, the husband was seen calling a septic tank pumping truck to the house. The neighborhood people came over and said, "Up until now, no one here has ever had a clogged toilet. This is the first time seeing this truck here." Someone joked, saying, "Did you two go to the toilet too much or what? That it caused a clogged toilet?" The husband just smiled it off and said, "Probably because of paper or something that fell down, so it got clogged." When people came to pump the septic tank, they poked the hose down into the toilet hole and the bathroom drain hole. Right there, a foul odor erupted. They only pumped lightly. They didn't need to pump it completely dry. That day, Aunt Nancy's household also came close to watch. Aunt Nancy's husband even asked, "Hey, where is your wife? Why don't I see her today?" Then the husband replied, "The two of us broke up. She met a new guy already, Uncle." More than a month later, Aunt Nancy saw an elderly woman coming to the neighborhood looking for her daughter Samina. For nearly 2 months, she had been unable to contact her child. She went to ask her friends and found out that her child lived with her boyfriend in here. She came exactly to Aunt Nancy's house to inquire. Aunt Nancy said there was a young couple who came to rent the house, but up until now, she didn't know what the couple's names were. Then the woman said her daughter's name was Tanya, and the guy's name was Victor. The two of them used to love each other and had brought each other home to introduce to the family. But she and her husband saw that this guy was not good, so they prevented their child from loving him. But Tanya argued, packed her things, and left to live with Victor. Previously, When living near her parents, she was often brought back by the family, but later, when moving here, the parents did not know more than a month ago. She still called home to ask about her mother, but after that call, contact was lost. That day, Aunt Nancy's husband was still sitting there and said, "I heard Victor say that Tanya broke up with him and loved another guy. So she packed her things and left," Tanya's mother said. "Now I keep trying to contact her, but cannot find her. Let's wait for Victor to ask if he knows where she is." Then she asked to stay at Aunt Nancy's house until that evening for Victor to return home. Then she also went over to ask about this and that. Then Victor said he didn't know where Tanya was. Since cutting off contact, they didn't care about each other's lives anymore. Seeing that it was late, Victor told the mother to stay over and return in the morning. Right on that very night, Tanya's mother dreamed of her daughter. In the dream, she saw Tanya sitting inside the restroom, her head slumping to one side, and her arms and legs were completely covered in blood. The joints of her arms and legs were severed, only attached by a bit of skin. Tanya in the dream cried and said, "Mother, I am in so much pain. Victor killed me, then chopped up my body to destroy the evidence and stuffed it down the septic tank." Reaching that point, the mother startled awake immediately. She was so scared that she didn't dare close her eyes again. She sat up, gathered her courage to go down to the restroom, and she was shocked when she saw her daughter sitting with her head slumped inside there, her body covered in smeared blood. She called out, "Tanya, is that you, my child?" Then she lifted her head to look and then disappeared right before her eyes. She caused Victor to startle. Victor ran down to ask her what was wrong. And at that moment, the mother somehow hid it and didn't want to speak. She just said, "I needed to urinate, so I went down. Then saw a mouse, so I got startled and screamed. It's nothing." In the morning, Victor drove her to the bus station to go home and even gave her a few 100,000 dong, telling her to keep it to buy whatever she wanted. Returning home, she told that dream story to Tanya's siblings. Everyone said, probably because mother has a bad impression of that guy. So when you sleep, you see bad dreams. Maybe Tanya really loves someone else. The mother didn't say anything, but ever since returning home, she frequently dreamed of her daughter appearing and saying, "I am in so much pain. My physical body is lying down there and cannot go anywhere. I died an unjust death. Mother." Sleeping and constantly dreaming like that made her suspicious. With a mother's intuition, she felt that something unfortunate had happened to Tanya. No matter how stubborn or rebellious her child was, she was still her child. She spoke to her children once again. She convinced them to believe her words, telling them to follow her over there to search one more time to see. The children were also moved. They thought, could it be real? Why does mother keep dreaming about it constantly while they don't see it at all? But if it wasn't true, where is Tanya currently that she hasn't contacted the family? The whole family decided to go to Victor's rented house once again today. That day was Sunday, so he was at home. Arriving there, everyone saw him repairing the toilet bowl again. He bought a lot of mosquito spray bottles, the red type, spraying it fully into a bucket of water and then pouring it down the toilet and the drain pipe. To be honest, stepping into the house, there was an overwhelming foul smell like the carcass of some huge animal that had died. That day, Tanya's mother's family had an argument with him. He kept saying he didn't know, then demanded to leave and didn't want to talk to anyone. The mother's children held him back and then shouted to call the neighbors. The neighbors said they often passed by here and sometimes smelled something like a dead rat, but probably because the doors were closed, they only smelled it faintly. Now opening the door, they smelled the suffocating odor. Tanya's mother at that time seemed to have a confirmation in her heart. She asked the residents to call the local authorities to inspect. During the inspection and taking Victor's statement, he declared randomly all over the place, and his expression at that time was like someone with mental issues. But in the end, he had to confess that he killed Tanya, then chopped up her body to stuff down the septic tank. He pointed out the septic tank tile square to everyone. Previously, when renting the house, the landlord said that if the toilet was clogged, just pry up that tile square, and underneath there was a small tank lid to insert a hose to pump the tank. Everyone knows that every house has a manhole, right? After pumping, however much it costs, just report it and the landlord would pay it back. That tile square was a 4-decimeter square, a 40-centimeter tile. It had a septic tank lid slightly smaller. He confessed that due to a conflict in their romantic relationship, and then accidentally seeing Tanya sitting on a motorbike with a strange man. They had a fierce argument, shouting at each other in a moment of anger. He grabbed a ceramic ashtray and hit Tanya's head. Tanya was in pain and intended to run outside. So he pinned Tanya down to the floor and strangled her to death. Knowing Tanya was dead, he intended to wrap Tanya's body in a blanket and find a place to dispose of it. But thinking again, although it was in a neighborhood with few people passing by at night, wanting to transport such an object, he feared someone might accidentally see and it would be exposed immediately. He dragged the body into the bathroom and chopped it up. The tank lid was not small, so he chopped at the joints. Wherever the flesh was thick, he sliced it and stuffed it underneath. The next morning, he erased all traces. Then took Tanya's clothes to an empty plot of land far from the house to burn them. When returning, he carefully bought cement to plaster the septic tank lid back, and also searched to buy exactly the right type of tile square in the house to place it back as before. More than a day later, he called a septic tank pumping truck to pump the tank dry of water. Therefore, the local people at that time only heard a faint, light smell, so they didn't think anything of it. Why he stayed there and didn't want to leave was because he feared people would discover it. Only when waiting for the corpse to decompose completely would he plan the next step. But unexpectedly, it was discovered by Tanya's family like that. After hearing his confession, everyone was stunned. The women in the neighborhood were so scared they ran out of their houses. People contacted the landlord to come and smash the septic tank lid to widen it. When the mouth of the tank was just uncovered, A very large popping sound emitted from below. A suffocating foul smell rushed out intensely. Everyone had to take mosquito spray to spray around, and Tanya's head emerged, looking terrifying. People had to bring a truck back to dredge and pump the septic tank clean once again to find the remaining body parts of the victim. The corpse was heavily decomposed and also stuck with dirty things below. Anyone looking in felt painful. Tanya's parents fainted repeatedly. The siblings screamed and demanded to kill this guy. After everything was handled, when preparing to bring her back home, the landlord felt pity and gave her family an amount of money as a partial comfort. His small house, he also demolished it entirely. He rebuilt it larger than before, but the septic tank still remained exactly in the old position until several years later, they offered it for sale and rent. Many couples moved in, but never for more than 2 weeks before moving out, sometimes just a few days, and Aunt Nancy saw people pack up and leave completely. A story that Aunt Nancy witnessed from beginning to end, and because she was close to Tanya's mother. During the process of Tanya's mother going up and down, Tanya's mother told her more inside stories like that about her dreams. Then the house was left empty until Tina moved in. She didn't know whether Tina saw anything or not, but Aunt Nancy said at the time, when no one had rented it yet, people in the neighborhood saw Tanya all the time, just around twilight. Anyone passing by the house and looking in would see the shadow of a girl gliding quickly inside the house, sometimes walking along the side of the house once. There were a few drunkards who challenged each other to sneak in there to sleep over. In the morning, whoever was still sleeping last would be considered the winner. So they bought alcohol and food and brought them into that house, even having the nerve to use pliers to snap people's locks to go inside, sit and drink, and build a campfire in the yard, making a huge racket until late at night, at that time around after 2 a.m. The residents in the neighborhood heard a lot of screaming emitting out, along with many curses and dog barking. Oh dear, in general, it was a total mess. They ran out and saw 4 drunk men who had stripped off all their clothes and were jumping in to fight each other. The guy who was injured the heaviest had a broken head. The remaining people were also scratched and flayed. The neighbors came to intervene, but they just held their heads and said, "Please forgive me, ma'am. I don't dare come here to disturb any more." Struggling around until morning, they had to bring those guys home. When they woke up, they recounted that after drinking, they went to the toilet inside there without flushing water. While drinking, they smelled a foul odor emitting out. One guy said, "What, did you guys go and not flush or what? That it smells so bad?" The other people said, "Where is the water to flush? And we just urinated, we didn't defecate. Why would we need to flush?" Then the guy who asked just now was named Ted. He said, "Then maybe the smell is emitting from the corpse of that girl." That story was a legend in the neighborhood already. People kept bringing it up to talk about for a long time. Joking finished, those guys laughed out loud. But while laughing, they heard a smell emitting that was horribly foul. That smell was exactly like when they witnessed the scene of retrieving Tanya's body up A bit terrified, they looked around and saw a long-haired person stepping out from the bathroom. On her body was stuck something slimy and black that kept dripping down onto the floor. The four men saw it clearly like that, but their limbs were frozen stiff. Their mouths couldn't speak. They just sat motionless, uttering helpless sounds. Then that person approached close to where they were, leaned her face down close, and asked, "Is it this foul? Right?" And they saw clearly that her head, the hair fell off in patches, pulling along the scalp. Her two eyes kept bleeding black blood dripping out. Then that person even laughed. And said, "Drink here, and I will feed you delicious food to eat." And Ted, he saw clearly that person used her hand to gouge the flesh on her own body and stuffed it into his mouth, then stuffed it into the other men's mouths too. The men were frozen stiff and couldn't resist at all. Their mouths just made helpless sounds. And then heard the question, "It tastes good, right? Now keep drinking." Reaching there, those guys lost all consciousness until, startling awake, they found themselves sleeping at home. To be honest, every single guy was covered in bleeding wounds. Everyone shook their heads and said, "Let this be a lesson for you guys to stop playing with ghosts." The wives of those guys gathered together to cook rice and soup, carried trays over to make an offering, and forced them to follow, kneel down, and pray. But after that incident, it was over. They weren't tormented further. Oh dear. Tina's mother listened to the point of feeling chills all over her body. Both scared, yes, but also feeling pity for that girl, and scared for her children who were living there. The mother went back to tell the couple. Hearing it, Tina said, "I have seen it several times already, but I didn't dare tell, fearing that my husband and mother would worry." Then the brother-in-law said, "I also saw it a few times, but I didn't dare tell my wife. That day I raised my voice at Mother. Actually, I wanted to do that so that Mother would go back, fearing Mother would see it and get sick, not because I was angry at Mother. So it turned out the whole house saw it, but everyone kept quiet. No one told anyone. The mother told them to buy things tomorrow to make an offering." Tina remembered that when buying the house and moving in, they hadn't made any offering yet. The house also didn't worship anything, and she didn't know anything either. The next morning, the mother and daughter went to the market to buy things to make an offering, praying and asking Tanya that if she was a powerful spirit, please bless the family instead of scaring them with ghosts, because everyone was terrified. Several weeks after the offering, there was still the phenomenon of the toilet bowl emitting the sound of bubbling water. The bathroom still had a faint, uncomfortable smell. So the couple decided to hang up a house for sale sign, but it was strange. They hung it for a whole year and no one asked a single question, let alone buying or selling. The water in the toilet just bubbled up. Could it be that they had to abandon the house and go elsewhere to rent a room to live? Until that night, Tina was sleeping with her husband and child. She heard the sound of water turning on downstairs behind the house. She was very scared, but she still had to step down to turn off the water. Otherwise, it would overflow everywhere. She didn't dare wake her husband up, letting him sleep so tomorrow he could go to work. Alone. She turned on the light to go down there. And just as she flipped the light switch on, she saw the silhouette of a girl sitting on the toilet bowl. Squatting, that person smiled at her, but there was nothing scary. Her face was very gentle. Then she disappeared right before her eyes. At that moment, her limbs were frozen stiff. Her heart was beating wildly. Trying hard to turn her head to step into the room, she heard the voice of the girl saying, "Tomorrow buy a lottery ticket. I will bless you." Going into the room, she jumped onto the bed, hugged her husband, and slept in one breath until the next morning. The next afternoon, when she went to deliver goods, while waiting to buy sugarcane juice in front of the alley entering the house, there was a little kid who ran up and held a lottery ticket out to her face, inviting her to buy, seeing there was only one single ticket left, and the number was ugly. She even said, "This lottery ticket you are selling ends in 43. Who would buy it?" Saying that, she still bought it to support the kid without thinking anything. In the evening, while sitting and eating rice with her husband and child, out in the yard there was a voice calling, "Auntie, let me ask you something." Stepping out, she saw the little lottery ticket boy from this afternoon calling her. Seeing her, he was so happy he jumped up and down. Then he held out a result sheet in front of her. He said, "Oh my God, Auntie, you won the jackpot. This prize is 1.5 billion." Her husband inside the house walked out, hearing the kid speak. He was also overjoyed. He asked where the lottery ticket was. She said she put it in the laundry basin and didn't know if it was still intact. Oh God. The couple frantically went into the bathroom to rummage and search, but couldn't find it. Not knowing where they left it, buzzing around for a while, only then did they see the lottery ticket lying on top of the rice container placed on the kitchen stove. Overjoyed, they ran over to hold and check it, and it was exactly as the kid said. She told him, "Wait for me to collect the money. I will give you some more." That night, she continued to dream of Tanya. Tanya said, "Seriously, you are so clumsy, ma'am. I gave you the luck to win the lottery, but you put it in the laundry basin. Well, luckily, I was quick-handed to take it out and place it on that rice container." She said that sentence and then disappeared. Tina hadn't had time to say anything before startling awake, both scared and happy. She woke her husband up immediately to tell him right away. The couple, along with the parents, went to exchange the lottery ticket, gave the little boy a portion, and took a portion to buy rice for charity. The rest the couple poured into rebuilding their house. Previously, when first bought, it was an L shape with a small yard on the side. Now they demolished it all to rebuild the house on the side garden. As for the old septic tank area, they pumped it dry of water, then poured soil into it to plant trees. Her mother was perceptive and said, "Why don't we build a small shrine right at that spot, offering incense every day?" Tina found it a good idea, so she followed her mother's wish. And ever since rebuilding the new house, her business thrived completely. Customers from everywhere came to ask her to sew clothes, and many people came to alter clothes, making her unable to keep up with the work. But from the moment the house was built, she no longer dreamed of Tanya. The family truly only hoped that Tanya's heart was lightened and she had departed to be liberated. Until that day, she was at home cooking down in the kitchen when in the front house she heard someone calling, so she hurriedly ran up and accidentally tripped, falling forward. Right at that exact moment, suddenly there was a sensation as if a hand grabbed her shoulder and pulled her to stand firmly. But the hand was very cold. Composing herself, she looked around, but saw no one. Then the call in front of the house was from a neighbor asking why the small shrine on her side had collapsed. "Did you demolish it or what?" Terrified, she went out to check, and somehow the shrine had collapsed down. The incense burner and water cups were completely smashed. She told the neighbor, "I don't know how it happened either. Let it be. This afternoon when my husband comes home from work, I'll tell him to rebuild it." In the afternoon when he returned, she told him. He went out to look and then said, "Let it be. Tomorrow I'll take a day off from work to stay home and build it." And that night, while the couple was sleeping, they heard a voice calling their names. The two of them startled and sat straight up, then saw Tanya standing at the foot of the bed. Tanya looked like a normal person. Her skin was fair and rosy, her hair neat and clean. Wearing the set of clothes that the other day during the shrine offering, Tina had burned to offer her, Tanya thanked the couple for offering incense to her during the pastime. Now it was time for her to leave. She appeared to say goodbye to the couple. The shrine was actually destroyed by Tanya because Tanya didn't want to leave and then have other wandering souls enter to occupy it. And who knows how they might be? What if they disturb and harm the family? Telling the husband not to rebuild it to save trouble, Tanya told Tina, "You are pregnant. Please walk and stand carefully, because this morning you almost fell and I held you up. Next time be careful, okay?" Tanya bowed her body to greet them once, then receded gradually, and disappeared completely. Only when she disappeared did the couple move. Tina, at that time, her natural reflex was that she was scared, so she hugged her husband tightly. But in her heart and mind, she kept murmuring, "Thank you, Tanya, thank you, Tanya," saying it repeatedly. From then until now, no one in the family has seen her anymore, nor have they heard the neighborhood people say they saw anything. The shrine was also cleared away and dismantled, and around it they just planted ornamental trees and such. It is a spiritual story of the family, but perhaps it was a certain destiny. It was also thanks to those times of ultimate terror when facing the stories of Tanya, facing the wronged soul of Tanya. From that ultimate terror, it acted like a turning point that changed the entire life of Tina and her husband. Up until now, she says she feels grateful more than feeling scared, and always feels a lot of pity for Tanya's fate.